Hope you're going to enjoy this presentation. It came to us one time driving back to Atlanta from Orlando. And I call it Success ETA. What does ETA mean, Mark? Estimated time of arrival. So we were coming back from Orlando to Atlanta, and we got the navigation there in the car. And it was telling us we were going to arrive around 7 o'clock at night, and we're going up the highway, no big deal. But when you have kids in the car, what happens? Well, no, they got to pee. Okay? But that was close. So you stop, and of course you get the M&Ms, and you get the bottles of water, and they got to stop, right? So you get back in the car, you look back at the navigation, it went from 7:05 to 7:25, and you're like, oh. And Becca's kind of like me, we're real competitive. We're like, let's get it back to 7:05. So we pushed down the gas pedal a little faster, we get to 80 miles an hour, and now we're at 7:15, they're catching up, we're doing pretty good. Now we're back at 7:05, yes! And then what happens? About an hour outside of Atlanta, you hit traffic. Okay, now you're stuck. And you're like, oh man, traffic clears up, starts going. Now you're at 7:25 again. You're like, crap. Hit on that gas pedal, getting 80 miles an hour, start getting it back up to your 7:05, okay? And I don't know if you guys have ever played that game or not, but you just want to get back to 7:05. Like, I didn't want to be any later than we already were. We had kids in the car. It's about a 7-hour drive. Like, get me out of this car. I don't like driving long distances. Not as bad as I don't like snakes, but I don't like driving long distances. So anyway, when we were in Dubai working, went to Europe a lot, and we got to drive the Autobahn a bunch of times, and it was so much fun. I remember the second time I ever did, we were leaving this little town called Wurzburg. We had just spoke to 1,000 people in a castle, which was kind of cool. Never spoken in a castle before. And the next morning we got up real early. We had an early flight out of Frankfurt, and the navigation there in the car is just set to about 60 miles an hour. I won't go into the kilometer conversion because none of us know kilometers in here. And I said, I bet that I can get there in half the time because it's the Autobahn. You're allowed to go as fast as you want. And sure enough, that 2.5-hour drive, we made it in 1 hour and 10 minutes because we're going about 145, 150 miles an hour in this Mercedes. It was so much fun. And I just remember watching that navigation going like just ticking off, like this is really cool. Okay, so that's even more fun than driving here. Well, imagine if you could have a success GPS that would tell you, based on your current speed in your business, your current actions, the current things you're doing, that it would tell you the day and the date that you'd become totally financially independent. How cool would that be? I mean, nowadays it'd probably be like one of these little iWatches, and if all of a sudden like you took a day off, you'd look and it would be like a day slower, maybe 2, because you lost momentum. Or you didn't have a BPM this week, and you look down, like, oh, the week is off that thing. Oh, man. Didn't go to convention, you lost 1.5 years. I mean, something like that, okay? Whatever it might be. Wouldn't it be nice to know that what you're doing right now would determine when you're going to hit that date? Because no one really knows when they're going to hit it. It'd just be cool if we did. So let's pretend for this presentation we do. Let's talk about some of the things that would affect what it would take for you to get to that destination at that time to be totally financially independent. The first one's the vehicle. Okay? Now with the vehicle, I think there's 2 things that go with the vehicle. There's the vehicle that is you, and there's the vehicle that's the company you're with. Okay? I had one time a guy tell me, oh, it doesn't really matter what company you're with, you gotta bloom where you're planted. I said, that's a bunch of crap. Because you can take the best pilot in the world and put him in a biplane, he's not making it to the moon. Okay? You gotta have a rocket ship. I don't care how good a pilot he is, that bloom where you're planted is a bunch of crap. You got to have a space shuttle. Luckily, with Retiring America, we have the best space shuttle. So let's talk about both these, you and the company, real quick. Let's talk about you. What are some things you got to make sure you do to be the perfect vehicle to arrive at that success destination of financial independence? The others, by the way, I love these pictures. Old school opportunities over there. Like, some of them out there, they're riding around where this is, out in a little Geo Metro or something. And there we are with the RA Rhino McLaren on the other side. We know which one's going to win, but let's talk about the tendencies. They don't read their goals. Whereas over here, they read their goals daily. Who in here can honestly say they've read their goals twice daily for the last 30 days? 1. Anybody? 2? 3. Guarantee Les is one of them, and I'm one of them as well. There is power. There's a whole speech in this one and all. That in Think and Grow Rich, The Secret, whatever you want to call it, that if you know what you want with your exact dates and you read it twice a day with emotion, it said the promises in the book, it says you'll literally be swept on to success. That success will come so quickly, it's like you're caught in a river and you're just being drawn in the current. Does anyone feel like they're being drawn in the current right now to success, like it's just dragging them along so fast they can't take it? Well, hopefully you do. If you want that, start reading your goals every day. Have them written down And if you want to share them with your upline, that's good too. One thing I changed about 6 months ago from a book I read is my goals. I used to say, some people say, I would like to make $1 million this year. And a few years ago, I changed it to, I have made $1 million by this date. Now I changed it, I added gratitude in. I'm thankful that I've been paid $1 million by this date. And it's pretty cool. There's a big difference putting gratitude on top of it. And there's a whole speech in this I can give you, but I would challenge everyone in the room to get back to reading their goals twice a day with emotion. There's magic and power in it. And if you don't remember that magic and power, read Think and Grow Rich, dust it off, go. Negative attitude is the old school way versus a positive attitude. We've said a lot about attitude in this meeting, but I'm telling you, you got to guard your attitude like you're guarding your life. Because if you get a negative attitude, I promise you it'll slow you down big time to your success ETA. And we're naturally, I think the world is naturally negative. You know, like the news, very negative, okay? Matter of fact, the more negative news is, the higher the ratings go because everybody wants to tune in and see what's going wrong, okay? And you just got to tune all that out, and you got to be positive, and you got to look at every situation. One thing, I tell you, my wife is the best life coach in the world, and she helps a lot of other people. She helps me out as well. But once she gave me a book, and it's called The Power of Now. If you guys ever read it, it's by Eckhart Tolle. And it's fantastic. It says no matter what's going on, you got to be appreciative of what's happening at that very moment. Now, that was kind of hard for me, because if I got stuck in traffic, I'm like, oh, man, I'm stuck in traffic. This is terrible. You know, and I started having all these negative attitude thoughts, whereas I said, you know what, I'm stuck in traffic, but there's some quiet time. I can listen to music or a good inspirational business tape online. I try to make every situation positive. And it's hard, but after a while you start getting in the habit of that, and it helps you develop your positive mindset. You got to be positive. Other side over here is you're mediocre about RA. You're not passionate. You're just kind of like, yeah, I'm in, and this is all right. And if you were the previous company, you're just kind of coming over here with better products and better leadership. You can't do that. You got to have passion about RA, and you got to show it. And you seriously got to show it. And people tell me, well, you know, John, I'm an engineer, and I don't like acting all excited, but I'm excited on the inside. What do you call a volcano that's excited on the inside? Extinct. Okay, a mountain. Who drives to go and see an extinct volcano? When it's erupting and going, what happens? There's helicopter tours, there's cars going up. They want to see this. You guys ever done it in Hawaii? It's amazing. But you've got to be erupting. And I'm not saying jumping all over the stage, but you got to light up a little bit. You got to be more passionate about this. You got to look people in the eyes, and you got to just let it come from the heart, because then the passion is what drives this, what moves people. Logic does not move people. It backs up what we do. It gives the substance, but it's emotion that moves people. What I say earlier, the energy that you carry is the energy you project, is the energy you'll attract. So if you're like, yeah, I'm really excited about this business, could help you out in some big ways. That person's like, yeah, well, he's so thrilled. He's not even listening at that point. But if they can feel your passion, they're going to respond to your message. Next area, they have no system, or they don't follow a system, and they follow the system. Talked about system a lot yesterday. I'm not going to go into detail, but I'm telling you, the system is the absolute key to getting speed. Because if you're trying to make it personality-driven, do it different every single time, you're never going to get anywhere. You're not going to be able to duplicate yourself and have geometric progression. You got to do these things to speed things along. Does not work hard versus work hard. Now, I'm not saying it's hard work. Hard work's digging ditches. But work hard means you're putting in the time. You're doing the work that every single day you're putting in the work. And it was funny. I had a leader one day. He's like, he's having a little tough time. And I said, look, just go out and friendship farm for 8 hours. You've got no appointments because their appointments canceled. Go out and just friendship farm for 8 hours, because you're telling the universe that you're willing to put in the work. Even if nothing comes from it, you're putting out that energy that you're building your business. And by the way, went out and they got about 3 appointments out of it. So it worked real, real well. You got to put in the work. There's no get rich quick here. There's no something easy. You got to put in the work. Treats people badly versus treats people right and great. You should always, no matter what you're doing with the sales situation or recruit situation, always do what's right for the person sitting right across from you. Be a servant leader. Do what's right. You'll sleep better at night. It feels good. When you start doing the wrong things, you start feeling bad about yourself. And you start becoming someone that you don't want to become. And Abraham Lincoln said, when you feel good, you do good. And when you feel bad, you do bad. And so always do good by people. It's like pay it forward. It's amazing the energy they'll have in your life with that. The next part of the vehicle is retiring America. You take these old opportunities, little red car on the one side over here. They have bad to average leadership. You know, you heard Jeff say one of the first companies that I had to kind of make up to him is we had a guy that I thought was actually going to be the next billion-dollar company. He just had no integrity. He was a jerk. I mean, he didn't have a full commitment to this system. He was exactly the opposite of Les in these areas. And he burned a bunch of us. I mean, I could tell you some horror stories. I mean, Emily knows. I mean, we were not treated very well by this guy at the end. We did a lot for him. You got to have great leadership, and we have great leadership. Do you guys believe that? Yes. Absolutely. Integrity, system commitment, and loving people. We have the greatest leadership going, I think, in business today. Shelf products only versus proprietary products. Our products kick butt. Nobody has anything close, and thanks to Michael Jones and Les, we're always in that front edge and doing very well there. Maturity phase versus rapid growth phase. There are some companies out there that are pretty big. We've mentioned a couple over this weekend that are billion-dollar companies. And you're thinking, well, man, wouldn't I want to be with them? And they do NASCAR sponsorships and Olympic sponsorships, and their name's real well known. No, because they're already in the maturity phase. They've already had their defining event. The distribution advantage is gone. The ownership advantage is gone because that happened a long time ago. You want to be somewhere that's at that beginning of that growth curve like you just saw in the video, and you're there retiring America. Do you guys believe that? Yes. Perfect. There's the defining event versus hadn't had its defining event. You heard Les kind of talk, by the way, that question about where we're going to be in 3 years, that did not come from you guys. I just wanted to hear what he had to say. I made that one up because I wanted to hear him talk about that a little bit because it's exciting. I think the defining event's the most exciting things we have. Imagine, Mark, some company comes along in 3 or 4 years, buys this for that $2.4 billion number he said. How much of that goes to the field? 50% of it, 1.2, divided up among all of us based on our income. That's going to be a lot of money. And then the company who buys you, you're not stopping. The company who bought you doesn't want you to leave. They'll wine and dine you and take you to Super Bowls and World Series and Europe trips and Olympics because they want to keep you there. And that's fun to watch. Wouldn't mind being spoiled, would you? Big payday and then continue to get paid and get spoiled for the rest of your life? How's that for a 4-year plan? Okay, I like that. Old school only. They're doing it the old way. They're using 80s technology and just the 80s way of doing stuff versus strong virtual initiatives. You go into our manual, we know how to use technology the right way. So you got this battle going on in the industry where some people, the old guys want to do it the old way. These new guys are doing this, I call it the too stupid way because they think, oh, I'm just going to buy a bunch of lists and we're going to put these landing pages, everyone's going to come, and nobody does. In the middle is where the power is. There's a quote, I'm trying to think who said it, but I'll say it first. It says, to change the world, you must combine ancient wisdoms with modern technology. And that's what we're doing here. We know the ancient wisdom of the system, of leadership, the secret sauce that makes one of these go, and we're combining it with modern technology, and it's exciting and it's fun. So back to our success GP, the next thing is direction. If you have no idea where you're going, you have no idea you're going to get there. True? If you aim at nothing, you're going to hit it. And I think some people don't have direction. That's why I think reading your goals is important because you're actually seeing your direction twice a day. You know where you're going. But GPS couldn't even calculate. You get in and turn it on, don't put a destination in, you're not going to get an ETA. And then what if you're in San Francisco and you decide we're going to drive down to San Diego, you're going to hang out with Les at his house for the weekend, okay? And you get in the car and you've driven a few hours and everything's great, and you look up and you see this. What problem do you have? You are going the wrong direction, okay? Now, if you were really making this drive, how many exits would you wait to get off and turn around? You really want to get to San Diego. It's like, yeah, let's wait 2 or 3 exits before we get off. You know, should we do that? This is a principle, by the way, you guys should learn with people both when you're selling and when you're recruiting. Because you see sometimes someone has like an outdated plan and they realize it. You keep putting money in this qualified plan and you're going to get taxed hard, it's going to be rough. And they all want to think about it. Okay, well, I mean, let me ask you a question. When you go on a trip, if you realize you're going the wrong way, how many exits are you going to wait? How many exits are you going to wait with your plan? Because that's what's going on here. And so you've got to know where you're going. Apollo 11 moon mission, when they first landed man on the moon, was off course 90% of the time. How did they get to the moon? Constant personal communication with mission control. They'd give them the vector, they'd fire the retro rockets, they'd get back onto path. And you got to have that constant personal communication from your mentors, from your leaders, because you will get off course. You're not going to learn it all in one convention and go, I got it, we're good, let's go. Cubby says we talk a couple times a day. It's because it's constant course correction. And you got to be, and books help you with that. Reading the system manual helps you with that. Experiences, but mentorship. Make sure you guys understand you're going to get off course. You're not always going to be perfect. And to get back on course, you call. I remember my original mentor, his number one guy, who's a multimillionaire now, but probably worth $250 million in this industry. They talked every single day for the first 2.5 years in the business. And nowadays, a text, you can kind of knock that down a little bit, but it's like a question, like last night this happened, this is what I did, was that the right thing to do? And he'd say, yeah, it was the right thing, great. It was like a 2-minute phone call, but he was always making sure that he was on the right path for success. So you make sure you're in the right direction. The next one, detours. Are we going to have detours along the way? What are the detours? The distractions that pop up, and we'll be distracted a lot. I mean, you look at Indamo. He just lost his sister-in-law a couple days ago. That's a big thing. He could have easily said, look, Les, I'm not coming. You know, we got a family thing going on. But he said he understood the importance of this event for himself, for his team, and not that it's a distraction. That's not a distraction. That's a serious detour there. And he went through it. A lot of you guys had challenges. Some of you guys getting here, you probably stretched that dollar pretty hard. Okay? And by the way, I've been there. I told some people the other day, my first convention I ever went to, I stayed with my mom and dad because I just recruited them. I rode my mom and dad, and I had $100 to eat for 4 days. And I was trying to get my, at the time, ex-wife to go with me, and of course she had a bad attitude. She didn't want to come. It's like there was no way we could all both eat on $100, and so I wanted to prove to her you could. So I decided I was going to spend as little as possible on food. And so over those 4 days of the $100, I came back with 88 of it. Said, see, you could have gone. Then she got mad at me for not eating, but I ate. I just was real careful what I ate and drank a lot of water. And so I've been there. I mean, I know what that's like, the struggle coming to a meeting. You know, where you don't want to go to a nice restaurant because the tip would break you, let alone the food, right? You stay away from all that stuff. But you got to fight. The war of focus is huge. You got to constantly try to stay focused and have all the detours of life go away, because it's so easy to say, you know, I'm not feeling good today. I'm not going to go out. Oh, God, the BPM, it's raining tonight. I don't want to go to the BOP because it's raining. Yeah. We can always find excuses, but you got to win the war on focus, not go through those detours. The next one is speed. Speed's real important when you're going somewhere, right? Yeah. If we didn't correct our speed in that early example, we got to Orlando at like at 8:30. It would have been awful, especially when you're competitive, because I just don't want to get there at 8:30. Speed. Speed is critical. You got to have a new vision of speed and what can be done. It's frustrating sometimes, whether it be someone that we're dealing with maybe at a product provider company or home office, and you say, hey, can you do this real quick? And they're like, yeah, well, you know, maybe tomorrow we can look at that, and I can have that for you next week. And I'm like, what? Just do it now. I don't understand, because they have jobs. They don't get paid for speed. They get paid for tasks, and even then they can drag those tasks out, and it absolutely drives me nuts. And in this business, whatever you thought you could do in a week or thought you could do in a month, why don't you change that philosophy? Why don't you start becoming an expert in compressing activity in collapsing time frames? What happens when you compress something down tighter and tighter and tighter? What happens? It's a physics question. It explodes. You know, in the physics world out there, you want to do more things in a shorter time period, and you watch. That's how you get some serious speed in this business. You want to have a sense of urgency. I mean, and by the way, a sense of urgency is good because you get more stuff done, but people can feel a sense of urgency. If you're in their home and you're like, yeah, well, this is my last appointment, so yeah, I can hang out with you guys for a while. I mean, I don't care if it's my first appointment. I say, yeah, I got an appointment I got to run to. This thing's really going. Things are happening. I got to go by out the door. Even if I was going home, I'd go home, okay? But you have a sense of urgency. That success is a state of emergency. They got to feel when they meet you the train is moving with or without them. And it just makes them realize, man, plus they appreciate you hurrying because they don't want someone in the house wearing them out anyway. You got to maximize your efforts by increasing your speed. And then you also got to realize to get speed that alignment creates velocity. What's alignment? What does that mean? Well, let's look at alignment in a couple of sports real quick. First one's NASCAR. Anyone heard of drafting before? Some of the guys are going, yeah, the women are going, what? I may have heard that. They don't really care. It's race cars, right? But they proved that when cars line up in a draft, and you'll see them bumper to bumper like this, going like 190 miles an hour, they're splitting the wind resistance, and they'll go faster than that solo car or two cars doing it. The more cars there are, the faster it goes, believe it or not. And they get more speed, and they use less fuel. It creates like this vacuum, and they just go around the track faster. It's amazing what happens. Geese, when they fly, they don't fly in formation because it looks cool. Hey, look at the geese. They're cool, man. How do they stay like that? It's a wind resistance thing. And what happens, you hear the ones in the back, you'll hear them honking. You know how geese honk? I'm not going to try to make the noise because I probably couldn't do it. But when the guy at the front gets tired, he peels off and goes to the back, and they take turns. It's really cool. And a lot of people we know are that duck up in the corner. He's going the other way by himself, okay? So don't be doing that, okay? You got to get aligned. Bicycle riders, you see them all the time in races. They stay lined up because they're splitting the wind resistance, and teams will take turns being in the front. And it actually pushes that guy as well. It's kind of interesting how that all works. But who do you got to get aligned with? Well, the company. You got to make sure that when we're doing the system manual, using the calculator, using our approved presentation, not trying to change things, that shows you're aligned. When you're aligned with your leader, seeing team shirts and that kind of stuff, that's alignment. That's cool. That's fun. I congratulate you guys for doing that. And you want to have that team alignment where everyone's singing out of the same hymn book. See, if you go out there and start doing things like we talked yesterday in the system about trying to change things, when you start having your own system, you don't know how to fix that. But if you're running the pure business building system that goes in the manual and something's going wrong, like you don't have a lot of guests at your BPM, or maybe there's a lot of guests but no one's signing up, we can help you fix that because we know where it's breaking down. But if you're running your own system, we have no clue. We can't help you at all. That's your own crazy system out there. Good luck to you. Okay? The next one is fuel. You got to have fuel to make the trip. What's the fuel here that makes this thing go? It's high-octane motivation. It's when you call your guys up, you're sharing good news with them, you're motivating them, you're making them feel good what's going on. It's coming to meetings like this, it's going to your local BPM. Hey, if you go to the BPM every week just to get excited, that's okay. But if you miss a BPM, it's a whole other week, and you're not going to have any enthusiasm, you're not getting fueled, and a car that's not fueled won't get very far, just like you won't get very far in the business. You got to have high-octane enthusiasm. I mean, you got to be excited. And I'm not saying rah, rah, jump off the stage and do cartwheels, okay? It's just you got to be more than like, yeah, this business is great. I love it. I'm so excited. I'm pumped. Okay? No, you got to show your enthusiasm. You really do. It's high-octane passion. What is passion? When it comes from the heart. You're not just mentally trying to convert somebody to why IUL is this great product everybody ought to have. I mean, there's good facts behind it, but people buy your passion, not your product. We're selling passion. They buy your passion about the opportunity. If you tell them about how you hated your job and you found this and it's got to be more time freedom, more income opportunities, they love to hear that and feel that versus just giving them the numbers, making it all clinical. Duration. To make a long trip, you got to know it's going to take a while. Something Adamo said earlier, I love this quote, that you have to give enough time for your efforts to compound. This is so critical. People will come in here and they'll work for 3 months or 6 months or a year and go, this isn't going as fast as I'd like. But it's kind of like if we were trying to move a big, huge boulder. At first, it's going to have a hard time rolling it. But once it actually gets moving, where its own energy is starting to go, it becomes easier and easier to push that big boulder. It's like pushing a car. Who's ever pushed a car before? I pushed a lot of cars. I've had some nasty cars that broke down all the time, right? Back in my younger days. When you first start pushing the car, it's hard. But once it starts going, man, it's pretty easy to push. It's because you got momentum going on. Your efforts compound. It's like a snowball effect. Who's ever made a snowman before? That little ball starts out and it's tiny and it starts to go, but all of a sudden, after a while, it's just starting to get so big you can't push it after a few yards of pushing that thing. Same deal. You'll be underpaid for a while to be overpaid for the rest of your life. Keep that in mind. You might say, man, I'm gone doing BPMs, I'm out seeing people, and I'm only making 5 or 10 grand a month. I mean, is this really worth it? I could do that at my job. Well, she's laughing saying it's underpaid, but to be honest, I don't know, 100,000 in this, especially in California. You can't even pay your light bill $100,000 in California. Come on. I mean, you could, but I'm being a little funny there. But this is really true, though. But imagine being underpaid for 2 or 3 years to be overpaid. And when I mean overpaid, I'm talking, imagine making 80, 90, 100,000 a month. And you're still doing the same things you're doing in the beginning, and you're like, hey, you know what? I don't go out 5 nights a week anymore. I go out 3 or I go out 2, and I'm making 80 grand a month. Now you're being overpaid. And I mean, I have friends from our last 2 ventures that are making, well, some are making $1.5 million, some are making $4 million, some are making 5, one's making 13. And they haven't probably made a sale or recruited anyone direct in like 15 years. Now they show up at the meetings and shake hands and kiss babies and do all kind of stuff. But are they overpaid? And it's been going on for like 15, 20 years now. Okay, but they were underpaid for 2 or 3 years while they built their business, got their leadership in place, to be overpaid for the rest of their life. And they gave enough time for their efforts to compound. That's the duration part of this. So when is your success ETA? Based on what you're doing right now, the things we just talked about, your speed at which you're recruiting, the speed at which you're building, the speed at which your alignment, all these factors, when would you guess you're going to become financially independent? Some of you guys are going, man, I'm 30 now, and the speed I'm going, I'll be 175. That's not going to work. Who was it said earlier about time? Was it Jeff? How time is critical and it's important. It is. It's absolutely critical. And so you got to start tightening up in some of these areas and getting more excited and seeing more people. And I mean, what's funny about this? The key to this business is really seeing more people faster. The person that shares their passion with the most people, builds the biggest team, makes the most money. If you really want to simplify all this down to anything, it's not the type of presentation you give. It's not that. It's just being excited to the most people, and you win this thing big time. So I challenge you guys to take some stuff we talked about at this event and take your notes when you get back and really sit down and say, what can I do better to get my speed? And if you're a little confused, talk to your leader. Talk to their leader. You have people that can help. They can help you dial this in to get your race car, your vehicle, yourself. You're in the right opportunity. I mean, seriously, everyone in this room, you're at the right place at the right time. Now it's just a matter of if you are going to pull the trigger, recognize the big moment, pull the trigger and do it right and do the right things instead of trying to do it your way. It's like that Frank Sinatra song, I did it my way. That does not work here. Do it the system way with passion in your heart and great things will happen.